Welcome back. I'm Neil Chase, author of Iron Dogs, writer-director of the thriller feature Spin the Wheel. You can find links to both of them below. And today, let's talk about sci-fi horror. It's one of those genres that never really dies because it hits two primal fears at once: the fear of the unknown out there and the fear of the unknown in here. And right now, it's really more popular than ever. I mean, movies like Nope, Megan, even the new Alien Earth are pulling in big numbers, either at the box office or on streaming. At the same time, you've got classics like Predator, Aliens, The Thing, The Crazies, which still rank among the most terrifying and popular films ever made. Sci-fi horror has range. It can be intimate and psychological, or loud and action-packed. But at its core, it's always about survival in the face of something bigger, stranger, and really scarier than us. So here's the problem. Because the genre is so popular, a lot of stories start to feel the same. Creepy robot? Check. Slimy alien? Check. Crew member spouting in science jargon? Double check. If you want to stand out as a writer, you got to push farther. You got to dig into the unusual, the unexpected, the stuff audiences haven't seen 100 times before. So today, I'm giving you 5 unusual tips to make your sci-fi horror script impossible to ignore. It's not just another creature feature, but something that leaves your audience scared, excited, and unsettled in the best possible way. So grab your popcorn, let's get started. But first, hit that like button, subscribe for more writing tip videos like this one, and ring the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, at its core, sci-fi horror is a blend of speculative science and raw fear, stories where the unknown, whether that's alien, technological, biological, collides with human vulnerability. From Mary Shelley's Frankenstein back in 1818 to films like Invasion of the Body Snatchers in the 50s, Alien in the 70s, Event Horizon in the 90s, right up to the modern hits like The Substance and Annihilation. Sci-fi horror has always been with us because as long as humans have discovered new things, well, we've also feared what those discoveries might unleash. It's one of the reasons I wrote and directed my upcoming feature film, Contamination. It's an action movie rooted firmly in sci-fi and horror. Think Predator meets The Thing. And it's not just because I love those old movies. No, to me, what makes sci-fi horror especially exciting is how close it feels to reality. I mean, we're living in a world where new scientific breakthroughs like AI, gene editing, space exploration are happening right now. And with them come new fears. I mean, what if these discoveries spiral out of control? What if the next calamity isn't a zombie virus, but a technology that we created ourselves? See, that's why sci-fi horror feels so relevant, because it sits right on the edge of what could be. My first tip? Make the science personal. One of the biggest mistakes in sci-fi horror is treating the sci-fi part as kind of window dressing. I mean, you get lots of jargon about wormholes, nanotech, or quantum fields, but none of it really matters to the people in the story. See, the audience doesn't connect with a string of big words. They connect with how those words change a character's life. I mean, look at The Fly. Sure, the science is about teleportation pods. That's interesting. But what makes it so good is watching Seth Brundle slowly lose himself, body and soul, to an experiment gone wrong. The horror isn't in the pods. It's in the way his relationship with Veronica breaks down as he becomes something inhuman. The science is the spark, but the horror is personal. Or take Annihilation. On paper, it's about a strange alien phenomenon called the Shimmer that distorts DNA. But the real impact is watching Lena and the other women come face to face with their own self-destruction. See, the Shimmer isn't just weird sci-fi. It's a mirror reflecting their inner trauma. I mean, you can even pull from the real world. Think about CRISPR gene editing. It's groundbreaking science, but imagine the personal story. You know, like a parent using it to fix their child's DNA, only to regret what they've changed. See, that's where the horror hides, in the human cost. So when you're building your sci-fi horror, well, don't stop at the cool technology or the alien science. Always ask, what does this mean for my characters, both emotionally and physically? How does it affect their relationships, their sense of self, their survival? If you make the science personal, well, the audience leans in because deep down they'll see a reflection of their own fears in it. Tip number 2, let the aliens be truly alien. So here's something I see all the time. Writers create aliens that are basically just people in rubber suits or wearing facial prosthetics. They walk like us, they talk like us, they think like us. Maybe they've got sharp teeth or glowing eyes or a lizard forehead. But at the end of the day, they're still just human with some extra makeup. See, and that might be fine for pure sci-fi or campy action, but in sci-fi horror, aliens are at their scariest when they feel unfathomably different. I mean, take Arrival, for example. The heptapods don't just look strange. The way they communicate is completely alien. Their circular language isn't just this cool gimmick, although it is. It literally reshapes how the humans in the film experience time. That's terrifying and awe-inspiring because it's not just an alien body we're dealing with, it's an alien mind. Or look at the Thing. I mean, the creature doesn't roar and chase people down in a straight line like a typical movie monster. No, it infects, it imitates, it makes you look at your best friend and say, are they still even themselves? That concept is horrifying because it taps into this paranoia and because it's so different from how a human would attack in the same way. I mean, even Nope gave us something new. At first, it looks like a typical UFO, but the twist is it's not a ship, it's a living organism. The alien itself is the predator, and it consumes its prey in a way that feels really strange, really disturbing, and really unlike anything we've seen before. So don't just ask, what if the aliens were like us? Ask instead, what if they were nothing like us at all? What if they evolved in an environment totally unlike Earth? How would they think? How would they sense the world? What would survival look like to them? See, that's where originality comes from. When the alien doesn't follow human rules, it can become truly terrifying because both your characters and your audience will not be able to predict what it will do next. Tip number 3, pace your horror and action differently. See, here's a trap I see a lot of sci-fi horror writers fall into. They think faster pacing automatically means higher tension. So the script tends to be wall-to-wall action, constant movement, characters running, shouting, shooting. That's action pacing. And while it's exciting, it is not the same thing as horror. See, horror thrives on anticipation. It's the waiting that gets under your skin. The sound in the dark, the flicker of movement you're not sure you saw, the silence before something bursts through the wall or out of your chest. Speaking of which, just look at Alien. For most of the entire first act, not much really happens in terms of action. I mean, the crew wakes up, they bicker about pay, they eat a meal. It's kind of slow, but that pacing is deliberate. Because by the time the chest burster arrives, the audience has been simmering in this dread so that the explosion of horror lands like a gut punch. Compare that to Aliens, the sequel. I mean, James Cameron shifted gears, adding action to the sci-fi horror. Faster pace, more firefights, but even then, he makes room for suspenseful pauses. Remember the motion tracker scene? The beeping gets closer and closer, but we can't see anything yet. The action basically stops in that moment, and we're left with nothing but dread. That's pacing as horror. Letting the audience squirm before the payoff. So here's the tip. Don't confuse horror with action. Action builds adrenaline by speeding up. Horror builds dread by slowing down. So use that contrast. Give your audience quiet moments where nothing happens until they can't stand the tension anymore, and then pay it off with purposeful action that hits like a sledgehammer. It's push and pull. So when you combine the right pacing with your alien or your creature, you're not just scaring people, you're making them anticipate that scare. And that's what keeps them glued to the screen. Tip number 4, make dialogue sparse and loaded. One of the fastest ways to kill tension in sci-fi horror is to let your characters talk too much. Long speeches, endless exposition, walls of technobabble drain all the fear out of the moment. In horror, silence is your best friend because the audience starts filling in the blanks themselves. I mean, look at Predator. Dutch and his team barely talk once the hunt begins. Most of their dialogue is clipped, tactical, or just raw reactions. That sparse language keeps that tension sharp. They're soldiers, but they're also afraid. And what little they say reveals both of those things. Or what about A Quiet Place? It thrives on silence. When characters do speak, it's in hushed whispers or sign language, and that makes every single word feel monumental. The lack of chatter turns dialogue into a weapon. It's not about how much you say, it's about when you choose to say it. Even a movie like No One Will Save You uses dialogue sparingly to fuel tension. Bryn has no one to talk to, and her extreme isolation only adds to her predicament as she battles wave after wave of aliens, all on her own. Every word she utters carries weight because of it. So here's your tip. Keep your dialogue short, loaded, and purposeful. Cut exposition dumps. Let fear and mystery hang in the silence. And when a character finally does speak, make sure that it either reveals something about them, increases the tension, or pushes the story forward. See, my mission as a writer and filmmaker is to bring back the story-first, character-driven movies in exactly this way, something that the 80s and 90s had in spades, characters who stick with you for a long time, because if audiences don't connect with the characters, then they won't connect with the story. And sci-fi horror is all about characters facing the unknown. So if your characters explain too much, you destroy that. But if you let the silence do the heavy lifting, then every word, spoken and unspoken, truly matters. And finally, fear the familiar. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't a monster with claws or teeth. It's when something ordinary turns into something strange. See, audiences are wired to feel safe around the familiar, so when you twist it, well, that effect is unsettling on a gut level. A great example of this is The Crazies. On the surface, it's just a quiet American small town. I mean, everybody knows each other, everything feels normal, until people start turning into violent monsters for seemingly no reason at all. The horror doesn't come from some outside invader, but from your neighbors, your spouse, your best friend. Or look at Cabin in the Woods. It took something as simple as a weekend getaway in the country and turned it into a hunting ground for every horror imaginable. And that amplifies once you realize it's all engineered. Invasion of the Body Snatchers also leans on the familiar. It's not just that there's an alien invasion, it's that they become the people you know. That familiar face across the table, well, that might not be them anymore. And what's worse, there's no way to stop it. Even real life offers endless inspiration. I mean, think about deepfakes, seeing your own face saying words you never spoke, or AI chatbots sounding just a little bit too human, or the idea that the phone in your hand, the thing you trust, could be spying on you. These are ordinary things made terrifying. So when you're writing sci-fi horror, don't just focus on the creature design or the futuristic tech. Ask yourself, what's something my audience sees every day? And how can I twist it into something disturbing? That's horror that sticks because it follows them home. So to recap, here are the 5 unusual ways to level up your sci-fi horror. Make the science personal, let your aliens be truly alien, pace horror differently than action, keep dialogue sparse but loaded, and twist the familiar into something terrifying. Sci-fi horror works best when it doesn't just scare us with monsters, but when it makes us question our world, our technology, and ultimately ourselves. But hey, this is just my 2 cents. Give me yours. What's your standout sci-fi horror movie and why? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to see your picks. And if you're watching this, chances are you're either brand new to screenwriting or looking for a refresher. Well, in that case, I've got something exciting coming this September just for you. My Zero to Hero program, a limited size, hands-on course for beginners, where I will personally walk you through turning your ideas into finished scripts step by step. I'm keeping the size limited to 10 students max, and seats are going fast. So if you want first access, click the link in the description below, and let's write some great stories together. But until next time, stay creative.